Good afternoon, everyone, and Assalamualaikum. Welcome to another episode of Quick and Easy Cooking with Mimi, featuring the world's best super kitchen machine, the Thermomix. Selamat petang dan Assalamualaikum pada semua. Hari ini Mimi akan tunjuk dua resepi dengan menggunakan Thermomix yang bukan lauk. Orang selalu cakap, a lot of people say, I don't need a Thermomix because I don't really cook. And I always tell them, you don't have to cook with a Thermomix. You can do so many other things with a Thermomix. Ramai yang sebut, saya tak perlukan Thermomix sebab saya tak masak. Dan saya selalu jawab, sebenarnya Thermomix ni, dia boleh buat banyak benda lagi selain dari memasak. Dan untuk buktikan benda ni, hari ni saya akan tunjuk dua resepi, iaitu Susu Pekat, condensed milk. We'll start with that. And then, resepi kedua adalah Sirap Ros, rose syrup, you know, like the cordial that we use. Two favorite things of Malaysians. So without further ado, let's get started. I have saved both recipes in my week to cook today. So they will show up in today's, under today. We start off with Susu Pekat. Super easy. We just start cooking because I already have the ingredients right here. I remove the lid. And the instruction says, I'm going to tap on tear to make the weighing scale 0 again. And it says here, I have to use 40 grams of unsalted butter. Okay, if you buy the Susu Pekat outside, they all contain palm oil. But today we're going to use butter. Okay, I'm going to show you my bowl, which is empty. 40 grams of unsalted butter. Why do we use unsalted butter? Because we want to control the amount of salt that we put into whatever we're cooking. Sesiapa yang nak guna butter yang salted boleh juga, tapi susah sikit nak kawal dia punya kandungan garam. Okay, itu sebabnya kita pakai unsalted butter. Okay, seterusnya kita masukkan air sebanyak 125 gram, 125 grams of water, which I've measured here. But you can also weigh, as you can see in the weighing scale over here. Very convenient. It's very sensitive. Okay, 125, perfect. And then we just tap on next. Very easy to use a Thermomix. If you can read and if you can follow instructions, you can use a Thermomix. Sesiapa yang boleh membaca dan boleh ikut arahan, boleh menggunakan Thermomix. Okay, dan seterusnya, we have to insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. This is what it means. This is the measuring cup. We put into the mixing bowl lid and we cover it. Kita ikut gambar dia ni, kita tutup kita punya Thermomix. Lepas tu dia set untuk kita 3 minit aroma, and then kita tinggal pusing benda ni ke speed nombor 2. Okay, so this is guided cooking, whereby it already set for us the time, which is in this case 3 minutes only, and then it set aroma temperature, which is a contraction of vapor and aroma, which is essentially steaming temperature. So it's going to emulsify the butter and the water right now while melting the butter at the same time, and also some of the water will evaporate in the process. And what we need to do is just to turn this button here, which we call the on-off button or also the selector button, to speed 2. So we just turn until we get number 2, or we follow. There's a mark here, ada tanda, kita nampak sampai mana kita perlu pusing. Itu sahaja, sangat mudah. Hello, welcome everyone who has joined. Okay, right now we are making 2 recipes that are not really lauk. It's not daily food. It's not something that's lauk. How to say lauk in English? I believe it's called viand. Yeah, it's not rice, it's not viand, it's not veggie. We are making condensed milk or Susu Pekat and rose syrup, just to show that there's more to Thermomix than just cooking food. So it's not just a multi-cooker, it's also a weighing scale, as you've seen, and then it's also an ice cream maker, it's a smoothie maker, it's a yogurt maker, sous vide machine, mincer, pulverizer, and so much more. And today it also makes Susu Pekat and rose syrup for us. Alright? And what we are doing now, it's actually, we can see here that the built-in thermometer, it shows 90 degrees Celsius, but it's very safe and very close. There is nothing splattering about. And we have 1 minute and 17 seconds left on the clock. Alright, so after this we're going to add the rest of the ingredients, which are milk powder. For the milk powder, I use full cream milk powder from New Zealand. Up to you what brand you use, just as long as it's milk. Do not use baby formula, yeah? Just in case your children have outgrown formula, please don't use it, because that is not the milk that's needed for this recipe. I once had a friend who tried to use leftover formula for her grandchildren. She used it to make yogurt. Tak jadi yogurt too. So make sure it's milk, yeah? And then the other ingredient will be sugar. Of course, it's Susu Pekat and it has to have sugar. Yalah, namanya Susu Pekat mesti ada gula lah kan? Tetapi kelebihannya, the advantage of us making this ourselves is that we are using butter instead of palm oil, which is a better fat, and also we know what kind of milk goes into our Susu Pekat. So itu kelebihan memasak sendiri. When we make things from scratch, kita tahu bahan apa yang kita masukkan dalam makanan yang kita hidangkan untuk keluarga kita. It's so wonderful, right? Okay, and now it's cooling down, counting down, 3, 2, 1, and that is the alarm to tell us that it's done. So if I'm not doing this live right now, I can actually walk away and come back. So all I need to do is either tap on this selector button or on the screen or on the next button, and now it says here what I need to put in next. So very carefully, you still have to take precaution so that the steam doesn't hit our face. So we just turn this away from us, all right? And we turn our lid over so that it doesn't drip on our counter, all right? And then I'll tap on there to reset our weighing scale. And now I'm gonna add our sugar. So the recipe actually says 180 grams of raw cane sugar, 180 gram raw sugar. So up to you what kind of sugar you want to use. I'm just using normal gula kasar. So kalau nak guna brown sugar ke organic sugar ke, up to you. Okay, but it's sugar, so kalau nak just follow the instruction, yeah. All right, and then next is the susu pekat. I mean susu tepung. We're adding now the milk powder, and finally a pinch of salt. I'm using here pink Himalayan rock salt. I'm a fan of it. Right, it's not very salty and it has other benefits as well. Okay, so akhir sekali kita masukkan garam sedikit, secubit garam. Lepas tu, oops, sorry. See, maknanya kalau terlajak pun kita boleh back lagi. So dikata kita tutup, insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. Okay, ni tips one of the tips is to kita buat dia macam pukul 5, lepas tu kita pusing dia punya handle ni ke pukul 6, senang nak masuk. Alright. And now it has set for us 30 seconds. Dia dah set 30 saat untuk kita. Kita tinggal pusing saja selector button. We just have to turn the selector button all the way to speed 10. Wow, amazing. Ready? So you just turn all the way. It locks for us and it will start to spin. Siap. Maknanya dah siap. Kita tekan next. Okay, now scrape down with a spatula and put into seal jars and store in the refrigerator until ready for use. Sebab kita punya bahan ni dia tak ada pengawet apa-apa, jadi kita harus simpan dalam peti sejuk. Okay, are you ready to see our susu pekat? Here we go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tengok apa jadi. Itu dia susu pekat kita. Okay, so I'm just gonna scrape this now into our jar. Nampak ke tak? Just trying out this new format. I don't know if it's better for you because maybe it's easier if you can see what's happening closer rather than I have my camera from afar. So all we need to do now is to scoop out our susu pekat. Okay, there's still a lot, ada banyak lagi. Banyak boleh dapat ni. Tadi, tengok ni. I think it's more than a can of susu pekat. And I've actually done the costing in a former lifetime. I was in charge of costing for fast-moving consumer goods company and raw material and costing. So it's like second nature for me that whenever I do something, I always do all the calculation. And I actually calculated that it's cheaper or the same. It costs cheaper or the same depending on your milk and your butter to make your own susu pekat. But the difference is that you are getting a much better quality for about the same price or less. So I'm going to scrape the rest of this later, but basically what we have is this beautiful jar of susu pekat, which we know exactly what we're putting in. I put in Australian butter, New Zealand milk, and Malaysian sugar. Right? So I'm going to set this aside so that I can go ahead and proceed to the next recipe. So we exchange bowls. Super quick. Without my membebel. Kalau Mimi tak membebel, nak buat susu pekat hanya 3 minit 30 saat. Okay? And the next one, okay, another way to access the recipe is I can go to recently cooked items. Thermomix ni macam telefon kita juga. Handphone kan ada recently dialed numbers. Thermomix ada recently cooked items. So I have here rose syrup and I just tap on start cooking. Mudah sangat. Okay, so it starts off with 400 grams of white sugar. Ni banyak sikit sebab kita nak buat sirap kan. Sirap ni kita boleh guna sebagai cordial. And we just stir our weighing scale seperti biasa, jadi kosong balik. And I've already measured here our sugar. 400 grams of white sugar. This one, it specifically states white sugar. Certain recipes will say raw cane sugar, some will say brown. This is white sugar. And then 100 grams of water, which I already have. If you don't have, if you don't want to weigh it, the other way to measure 100 grams of water is you can use our measuring cup. You see this line up here, I don't know if you can see this. This line up here is 100 ml or also 100 grams. So let's give it a try. Right? Tak tahu lah nampak ke tak. But I don't know if you can see this. It's about, I cannot tilt it, but you can see that it's quite full. And we pour it to measure. So first I tare it. Look at that, 100 grams. Let's see, I told you, that's why it's called a measuring cup. And then, now we're going to add rose water, 170 grams. I bought this from an Indian sundry shop. 300 ml cost me only 4 ringgit 50 cent. Wangi je. Okay, for this recipe, actually optional. You can even add rose petals, but you have to get the ones that are organic, yang tak ada spray insecticide. But I don't have any rose petals. I just decided on this recipe a few hours ago. So we're just gonna go with the rose water. Okay, the weighing scale is already 0, so no need to tap there. I'm just gonna measure now 170 grams. So that's 59, 93, kita nak 170 gram. So the other uses for rose water, certain Indian cooking, they like rice pilaf uses rose water also. Or maybe biryani, you can keep it for such recipes. Okay, and now if you have a bottle of this lying around somewhere, this is another use for it, to make your own rose syrup. Okay, just a bit more. Very precise. Terlebih 1 gram halal eh. Okay, next. Pinch of salt. Again, I'm using my handy dandy Himalayan rock salt. Media. next, 60 grams of glucose syrup. Okay, glucose syrup, it looks something like this. It's quite thick, and you can buy it. This is 500 grams, and it costs only 2 ringgit and 60 cents. You can go to your nearby baking ingredient shop. Okay, so this is a bit sticky. It's called syrup, but actually it's very, very viscous consistency. I'm supposed to do about 60 grams. So, tengok ni, nak kena korek sikit. Agak pekat. It's very, very thick and quite challenging to use. So this one, it's worth buying because you can use this also to make lollipops and your very own candy ala-ala Kopiko, which I'm gonna do in the coming days. I just need to practice rolling it nicely and cutting it nicely. I dah buat dah, sedap tau, dia tak ada aftertaste. So you can use glucose for those recipes and also for your own syrup. See, you always wonder when you buy rose syrup. Well, I don't know about you, but I've always wondered what they put in there, how much coloring they put, and what kind of coloring. So when we make our own rose syrup, we know exactly what goes in it. So now we have about, oops. Kita nak 60 gram je. Kita lebih sikit tak apalah, 64 manis sikit. So I will scrape the rest off and set this aside. To be continued. And then now comes the usual insert measuring cup. This is how it's done. Measuring cup. It's got these like tabs at the side. So when you put it in, you put in one side first. Macam ni. When you get your Thermomix, part of my service as your advisor will be to show you how this is done. So you insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, and then put it on top. Pukul 5, pusing pukul 6. Pukul 5 ke pukul 7 ke, tapi yang penting tu nanti kita masukkan dia, make sure gasket tu ngam-ngam masuk ke dalam, lepas tu kita pusingkan dia ke nombor 6. And then dia akan masak selama 5 minit, 100C, and then we just have to turn it to speed 1. Okay, so 5 minutes, 100C, speed 1. Meanwhile, I'm going to scrape the rest of my condensed milk into my jar because I still have some on the lid. So I thought with the phone positioned this way, I'll be able to chat with you guys, but apparently it's a bit too far for me to read your comments. But thank you. I can see all those emoticons, the loves and the waves. Hope you're doing well. Second day of CMCO. What have you all been cooking? If you have any requests for certain recipes, please let me know in the comments, yeah? I will do my very best to make them. I don't know if you want me to redo some of the ones that I did during MCO early this year, or if you want me to do completely new recipes. Alright? So yang ni, bila dah habis masak nanti, I'm gonna do pre-clean. I'm just gonna set this aside and I'm gonna wash my spatula because I only have one right now. I couldn't find the other one. So when you get your Thermomix, it's actually a very good idea to position your Thermomix close to a sink so that you can do your work. It's very convenient to do your work and to have several wiping cloths on hand so that it's easy for you to reach out and do it. Okay. After this, while this is cooking, we have the rest of the ingredients ready, which is only natural vanilla extract. So I have my vanilla, I don't know if you can see it, but I have my vanilla soaking in here, those vanilla beans, and then food safe food coloring. You can also do you can also use those natural food coloring like red yeast rice. Was it red rice yeast? Yeah, but that one, that powder that is often used in stuff like jelly cakes. So super easy. It's boiling now. Basically, it's like, you know, like we make air gula when we cook the sugar and water together. Kita masak atas api kan, lepas tu kita kacau sampai benda tu dah cair. But with this one, I don't have to worry. We can set the time and we leave it. We walk away. We can go and pray. We can attend to our children, we can help them with their classes and whatnot. Boleh jawab email boss. Okay, ataupun boleh prep bahan-bahan untuk menu seterusnya. Right? So, as I mentioned earlier, Thermomix is more than just a cooking machine. It can also do so many other things. Contohnya, you can also do your very own jam. So, there was in the nearby supermarket ada sale strawberry 2-3 hari lepas, jadi RM10.99 je. So from normal $13.99 jadi $10.99. So of course I bought 2 packets and I made my own strawberry jam. And you can control exactly how much sugar you put. It's a bit runny because I put less sugar. Probably only 30% sugar and the rest is fruit. Up to you. See, you can play around with it based on your preference. And the other things you can do, these are my favorites. Of course, my chicken stock. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Wangi. See, this is made from chicken breast, 300 grams, and white vegetables, 200 grams. And of course, my favorite pink Himalayan rock salt. I've done this before during MCO. Please let me know in the comments if you want me to do it again. Sesiapa yang ingin lihat lagi sekali cara nak buat chicken stock, sila tulislah dekat komen tu kalau nak, if you all want. Otherwise, I will cook something else because we have more than 63,000 recipes now to choose from. I don't know where to start. Alright, so sometimes, well, usually it's more of a matter of knowing what's in my fridge, and then from there I go look for recipes. Okay, and this is another thing that I made on my own. This is beef stock. Okay, sekali tu ada sale wanginya. Ada sale Australian beef in the supermarket near my house, and so I made beef stock. So dahlah kita tahu apa yang kita masukkan dalam kita punya chicken stock ni, it also saves a lot of time because when we make our porridge, for example, we can just use these instead of adding actual meat. So that saves us a lot of time. No need to defrost before we make our own bubur. We just put in our chicken stock or beef stock, and we just replace the salt because the recommended amount is every half liter of water we use 1 heaping teaspoon of the homemade chicken or beef stock. And what do you know? That sound means that it's done. Kita tengok what's next. Add into the mixing bowl 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then some food coloring and optional fresh rose petals. So let's do just that, right? So it looks like water. Yalah, air gula dah kan? Okay, so now I'm gonna, where is my measuring spoon? Tiba-tiba tak jumpa. Sorry ya, tadi basuh lepas tu lupa nak letak sini balik. So we want about, I'm actually going to put a little bit of vanilla first. I will put in only like one teaspoon, and I will adjust it later. Okay, I will taste first and see what it's like, and then I'm gonna add my food coloring, just a drop first, and then I'll adjust later. So kita dah ada susu pekat dengan kita punya apa nama? Susu pekat dengan rose syrup. Bolehlah buat sirap bandung kan lepas ni. And then we give it a stir because now it's quite thick. Dia macam agak pekat sebab air gula which is quite concentrated. Dia lah nak jadikan cordial lah kan. So setakat ni dengan 1 titik pewarna. Alamak tak nampak. Oh dia jadi warna ni. So up to you how red you want it to be. I think this is good enough for me. I don't need to have super red syrup. And I have sterilized jars right here, ready for use. And I'm just gonna pour into my jar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, nampak tak? Okay, agak panas. Obviously, baru masak kan. So I will hold I hold by the neck and just. Okay, another tip: when you lift when you lift your mixing bowl, you hold it here, but when you want to pour, you hold at this side, and it's more ergonomic this way. So dia akan rasa lebih ringan, and ia akan membantu kita tuang. Okay, so that's the ergonomic way of holding our mixing bowl. And voila, here is our syrup. Ada lagi dalam ni. I will move it to the other bottles kejap lagi. But just to show you hasil sesi kita hari ni, susu pekat dengan rose syrup. So I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Do let me know in the comments what else you'd like me to do in the coming days. I will be with you every day, 6 p.m. for the entire duration of this CMCO, Conditional Movement Control Order. And I'm praying that everyone is well and safe. So hang in there, chase the blues away. Join me every day, 6 p.m. Quick and easy cooking with Mimi. Thank you so much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.